Hungarian Folk Tales. The Hare and the Hedgehog. One sunny summer day, a hare and a hedgehog met in the meadow. The hare began to tease the hedgehog and said, "Hey, hedgehog, how can you even walk alone, let run with those stumpy little legs of yours?" This upset the hedgehog. "Well, I'm sure I can run faster with my little legs than you can run with your lanky long ones." Now the hare was upset. "I don't believe that." "Well, if you don't believe it, hare, let's make a wager." So the two of them placed their wagers, and then the hare said to the hedgehog, "Well then, hedgehog, shall we race?" To this the hedgehog said, "Tomorrow morning, when the 8 o'clock train leaves the station." The hare said, "But why not now, hedgehog? Because I have to go home to eat my supper. Let's meet again here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock sharp." So the hedgehog went home. After they had eaten, the hedgehog told his wife what had happened. "Just imagine, I made a wager with the hare that I can run faster than him." The hedgehog's wife said, "Don't be foolish. How could you possibly run faster than the hare?" "Well, we'll find that out tomorrow morning." The following morning, the hedgehogs got up, ate a hearty breakfast, and went out to the meadow. They didn't go to the place where they should meet the hare, but instead stood at the other end of the meadow. Then the hedgehog told his wife to hide herself in a furrow. He told her, "When the hare arrives, you are to shout out, 'I'm already here, hare!'" Then the hedgehog walked to the far end of the meadow where he met the hare. "Hello there, hare." "Hello there, hedgehog. Are you ready to race?" "Yes, I am." "Then shall we run?" "Yes, let's run." "But how shall we run over such a bumpy field?" The hedgehog said, "It's simple. I shall run in one furrow and you in another, and so we won't bump into each other while we're racing." "That sounds like a very good idea." Then the hare stood ready in one furrow and the hedgehog in another, and the hedgehog told the hare, "I shall count, and when I get to 3, we start to run." And then the hedgehog counted, 1, 2, 3. Then they both began to run, but the hedgehog only ran 2 steps and hid himself deep in the furrow. But the hedgehog's wife was sitting waiting at the other end of the meadow when the hare arrived, and she shouted, "I'm already here, hare!" And the hare said, "That was no good. Let's race again." Then they turned back and began to run in the opposite direction, but this time the hedgehog's wife only ran 2 steps and hid herself deep in the furrow. The hare did his best to run faster than he had ever run before. But when the hare arrived back at the beginning of the meadow, the hedgehog said, "I'm already here, hare." that was no good. Let's race once more." So they turned around and ran back again, but the hedgehog quickly hid in the furrow again. The poor hare ran as fast as his legs would carry him, and when he got to the other end of the meadow, the hedgehog's wife said, "I'm already here, hare." "That was no good," said the hare. "Let's run one last time." But the foolish hare felt dizzy and his legs began to tremble, and he stood in the middle of the meadow, too tired to continue. The little hedgehogs laughed at the silly hare. They had won. The pair of them laughed all the way home, and they are probably still laughing to this very day. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Foolish Man. Many, many years ago, in a land far, far away, there lived a man and his wife. And I'm sorry to tell you that the man was not very clever. In fact, the man was a fool. And every day his wife had to tell him what to do and how to do it. The man and his wife had a cow, and one day his wife said, "Why don't you take the cow to market to sell it?" So the man dressed her foolish husband in his best clothes, and he left for the market with the cow. It was a very hot summer's day, and a cloud of flies began to bother the cow and make it run back and forth all over the place. And as they were walking, they met a man with a pig. "Kind sir, wouldn't you prefer to swap your troublesome cow for this pig?" "Oh, but of course I would," he said, and they made the exchange. So now the foolish man had a pig, but the pig was harder to control than the cow had been, and the foolish man did not like it at all. And as they were walking, they met a man carrying a goose. "Kind sir, wouldn't you prefer to swap your troublesome pig for this goose?" "Oh, but of course I would." Well, the goose was no better. It made a terrible mess, its feathers stuck to the foolish man's clothes, and he soon grew tired of carrying it. As they walked, they passed a man by the side of the road who was selling sharpening stones, and the man said, "Kind sir, wouldn't you prefer to swap your troublesome goose for this sharpening stone?" "Oh, but of course I would." So the foolish man was now left with nothing more than a sharpening stone, and he turned around and set off back home. And as he walked, he passed a pond with ducks swimming on it. The foolish man thought he would like to take a duck home for his wife, so he threw the sharpening stone, it sank into the pond, and all the ducks flew away. Now what am I going to do? No cow, no pig, no goose, no sharpening stone, no nothing. So he took off all his clothes and waded into the pond to find the sharpening stone. He searched the pond but could not find it anywhere. And when he came out of the water, he discovered that someone had stolen all of his clothes. So the foolish man was forced to walk home naked. The foolish man was very hungry when he got home, and so he cut himself a slice of bread and went down into the cellar to have a drink of wine. So he put the bread on the step and looked around to see that the dog had made off with it. He then threw the wine tap at the dog, so all the wine spilled out of the barrel onto the floor. A goose sat in the corner hatching eggs, and the goose said, "Gaggle, gaggle, gaggle." "You're going to tell my wife?" "Gaggle, gaggle, gaggle, hiss, hiss." And the goose went on making a terrible din. So the foolish man grabbed the goose, wrung its neck, and threw it out into the yard. Then he poured a bag of flour into the wine and some feathers, rolled around in it, and sat on the eggs. wife then came down into the cellar and said, "What on earth is going on here?" She looked around at the spilled wine, the flour and the feathers and saw something sitting on the eggs. "What kind of monster is this? You had better say something before I knock your head off. It's me, dear wife. Don't hurt me." "Where's the cow?" "I swapped it for a pig." "So where's the pig?" "I swapped it for a goose." "So where's the goose?" "I swapped it for a sharpening stone." "So where's the sharpening stone?" "I threw it into the pond. I wanted to hit a duck so I could bring it home to you." "And where are your clothes?" "Somebody stole them while I was looking for the sharpening stone." "Oh, you foolish man." And she pulled him off the eggs and gave him the beating of his life. The foolish man's wife never sent him anywhere again after that, and did everything herself because it was safer that way. And that is the end of my story. Hungarian Folk Tales. The King's Bread. The king in this tale was tired of eating chicken and noodles and cake and milk and bread and other sweet treats every day, and so he issued an order that he should be served an extraordinary dish that he had never eaten before, but that it should be delicious. Well, the king's cook thought, "I will do my very best." And the cook carried one spectacular dish after the last to the king's dining table. The cook tried all he could imagine: eggs with honey, pork with sugar, fish with cream, and walnuts baked in milk. But all to no avail, as the king was not impressed and pushed each away with a look of disgust. No sooner had the cook placed the 13th dish before the king when he roared, "Enough! If you fail to bring me a dish I have never tasted, I shall have your head cut off." So the poor cook returned to the kitchen feeling sad. He thought and thought, but he simply could not think of anything clever to cook for the king. He could almost feel the executioner's axe on the back of his neck. With no idea of what to cook, he took a loaf of bread and ran away from the royal palace. When time came for supper the following day, the king sat at his table, as he always did, but no dish was served before him. This had never happened in the palace before, and the king summoned for the cook to be brought before him, bound in chains. But where was the royal cook? They searched the palace high and low, but he was nowhere there. So then the king's carver said to the king, "Your Majesty, I have to tell you that the cook has run away." The king was furious. No supper, and now no cook. Was he the only man in the land to sit before a bare table when it was time to eat? So the king ordered his guards to saddle their horses, and he led them out of the palace on horseback, furious and famished. They set out after the cook, soon found his trail, and rode until they came to a great forest. Here they searched low and high until they sighted him atop a tree, and the king shouted up, "Come down, you wretch, or I shall shoot." But the cook decided not to move and pretended to be dead, held aloft by the tree's strong branches. So the king called his men to chop the tree down. But the guards worked as slowly as they could because they all liked the cook very much indeed, and they felt sad for his sorry fate. The king would surely have the cook's head cut off, and they would be sorry to see him go, because he had the habit of giving them delicious tidbits that the king ignored. And the roast pork and chicken always made an excellent change to their daily ration of bread. The king soon saw that the guards were slacking and the tree would never be chopped down. Then the king's cook became so frightened by all the chopping that he dropped the loaf of bread he carried and it fell to the foot of the tree. The king saw the loaf and wondered what on earth it could be. "It is a loaf of bread, sire, and not for a king, but a poor man's food." The king broke a little off and tasted it. "Oh, I've never eaten such delicious food since I was a baby in my mother's arms." "You rogue, you never told me that you could cook food as delicious as this loaf of bread. Come down and I shall pardon you for all your sins." The king's cook now knew that he was safe, and so he climbed down the tree and stood before his sovereign. "Cook, I order you that from now on, whatever you serve on my royal table must be accompanied by bread." Hungarian Folk Tales. The Hen and the Slowberry. Once upon a time, there lived an old woman. And the old woman had one hen and one cockerel. One day the hen was pecking in the bushes when she found a single slowberry. The hen tried hard to swallow the slowberry, but it stuck in her throat. The hen rushed to the cockerel and asked him to fetch her some water because she was sure she would soon choke on the slowberry. So the cockerel ran to the well and said, "Well, give me some water. I'll take the water to the hen because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry." The well said, "I will give you some water if you fetch me a green branch." So the cockerel ran to the tree and said, "Tree, give me a green branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water. I'll take the water to the hen because she's sure she will soon choke on the slowberry." The tree said, "I will give you a green branch if you bring me a wreath." So the cockerel ran to the wreath maker and said, "Wreath maker, give me a wreath. I'll take the wreath to the tree will give me a green branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water. I'll take the water to the hen because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry." The wreath maker said, "I will give you a wreath if you bring me a pair of shoes." So the cockerel went to the cobbler and said, "Cobbler, give me a pair of shoes. I'll take the shoes to the wreath maker will give me a wreath. I'll take the wreath to the tree will give me a branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water. I'll take the water to the hen because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry. I'll give you a pair of shoes if you bring me some glue." So the cockerel ran to the cat and said, "Cat, give me some glue. Then I'll take the glue to the cobbler will give me a pair of shoes. I'll take the shoes to the wreath maker will give me a wreath. I'll take the wreath to the tree will give me a branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water. I'll take the water to the hen because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry." The cat said, "I will give you glue if you bring me some milk." So the cockerel ran to the cow and said, "Cow, give me some milk. Then I'll take the milk to the cat The cat will give me some glue. I'll take the glue to the cobbler will give me a pair of shoes. I'll take the shoes to the wreath maker will give me a wreath. I'll take the wreath to the tree will give me a branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water, and I'll take the water to the hen, because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry. The cow said, I will give you some milk if you bring me some hay. So the cockerel ran to the reaper and said, Reaper, give me some hay. I'll take the hay to the cow will give me the milk. I'll take the milk to the cat will give me some glue. I'll take the glue to the cobbler will give me a pair of shoes. I'll take the shoes to the wreath maker will give me a wreath. I'll take the wreath to the tree will give me a branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water. I'll take the water to the hen, because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry. The reaper said, I will give you some hay if you bring me some bread. So the cockerel ran to the farmer's wife and said, Farmer's wife, give me some bread. I'll take the bread to the reaper will give me some hay. I'll take the hay to the cow will give me milk. I'll take the milk to the cat will give me glue. I'll take the glue to the cobbler will give me shoes. I'll take the shoes to the wreath maker will give me a wreath. I'll take the wreath to the tree will give me a branch. I'll take the branch to the well will give me water. I'll take the water to the hen, because she's sure she will choke on the slowberry. The farmer's wife said, I will give you some bread if you bring me some firewood. So the cockerel ran to the forest, collected some firewood, and took it to the farmer's wife. Then the farmer's wife gave him some bread, and he took the bread to the reaper. The reaper gave him some hay, and he took the hay to the cow. The cow gave him some milk, and he took the milk to the cat. The cat gave him some glue, and he took the glue to the cobbler. The cobbler gave him a pair of shoes, and he took the shoes to the wreath maker. The wreath maker gave him a wreath, and he took the wreath to the tree. The tree gave him a branch, and he took the branch to the well. The well gave him some water, and he took the water to the hen. But by then, the hen had surely choked on the slowberry. Hungarian Folk Tales. Dan the Dancer. The king mourned his beautiful wife for a year and a day. When his mourning was over, he had it announced all over the land that he would marry any maiden who could spin yarn of gold. One old woman heard this news and rushed home to her house to tell her ugly daughter. Well, my dear, could you spin yarn of gold out of string? Her daughter set about thinking and soon set her heart on becoming queen. Once, when her mother was away in the village, she shut all the doors, covered all the windows so as not to be seen by anybody, and began to spin yarn. She kept on at it for quite some time, but there was no way she could make yarn of gold out of old string. Oh, I can't go on like this. If someone taught me how to spin yarn of gold, I'd give him my body and my soul, even if he was the devil himself. Here I am, sweetheart. What do you wish? The girl told him what, and asked him to teach her how to spin yarn of gold out of simple string. She said she'd give him anything he asked. I'll teach you if you give me your body and your soul in a year from now. The girl agreed. Sit here on this stool with your back to the door like me, you see. Then say 3 times, Devla, Devla disako. Then the devil began to spin yarn and, believe it or not, yarn of gold came spinning off the spinning wheel. Then the girl too sat down on the little stool with her back to the door and repeated 3 times, Devla, Devla disako. Then she set about spinning and, miracle of miracles, yarn of gold began to spin off the spinning wheel onto the spindle in her hand. Well, my dear, I'll leave you now, but I'll be back when the year has passed. Do you understand our bargain? I do, but before you go, please tell me your name. I won't do that, but if you can guess, I won't take you away when the year's over. Then the girl carried on spinning until the candles had to be lit. And then her mother came home. Goodness, my dear, is what I see true? Can you really make yarn of gold out of old string? Yes, I can, Mother. Hurry right away and tell the king the news. The king found it very hard to believe. Well, Your Majesty, I swear upon my life it's true. Come and see for yourself. So the king set off to see for himself with 6 ministers, counts, barons, and generals. Not even the old oven had ever seen so many lords of the land gather together before. It stood there gaping with its mouth so wide that it was unable to shut it ever again. Then the king and his lords all sat down and watched how the ugly girl spun yarn of gold out of string. The king was worried that he would have to wed such an ugly girl. But what else could he do? He sent a carriage drawn by 4 horses to fetch the girl, summoned a priest, and married her right away. The king slowly became accustomed to his new wife's looks, and soon he no longer saw her as ugly. They lived like this for quite some time, but as the days passed, the poor girl turned queen became sadder and sadder. What will become of me when the year is over? Both the king and the courtiers tried to cheer the queen up, but in vain. Then one day the king went out hunting with his men. He ordered his men to go right up to the top of the hill and set up camp under the largest tree. We have a problem, Your Majesty. We can't set up camp under the largest tree because a small man shaped like a monster has made a fire there. Maybe we shouldn't go there at all. On the contrary, we'll go and see who it is, even if it's the devil himself. And they reached the top of the hill, and there they saw a fire, and around the fire, a tiny man dancing around a huge pot with an enormous wooden spoon. Burn fire, burn flame, in this pot is what I make, a beautiful bride I will take, and Dan the dancer is no fake. As the king caught sight of him, he burst out laughing and went straight home to tell his wife so that she could have a good laugh too. And that's just what happened. The queen laughed so much that it seemed as though she had no worries in the world. Time went slowly by, and the year she had bargained would soon be reached at noon that day. On the strike of 12, just as the king and queen were about to eat a delicious bowl of soup, there was a knocking on the door. The queen could guess who it was. Who is it? It's me, sweetheart, the one who taught you how to spin yarn of gold out of string. The year's up and I've come to take you away. If you can say who I am, you can stay. You mean your name? It's Dan the Dancer. And to hell with you. Upon this, the little man burst with rage and slammed against the door, and all that was left of him was a big blob of tar. Then the king asked his wife how she knew who the man was. In her great fright, she told him all that had happened. Well, my love, if you can still spin yarn of gold out of old string after this, you can stay. But if you can't, you must leave here and never return. So the woman sat down and said, Devla, devla disako, and she began to spin. But it was no use. No yarn of gold would come off the spinning wheel. The woman had a fit, and in her rage, she flew against the door. There she turned into tar just like the devil. All the shoemakers and bootmakers went there from then on whenever they needed tar. And if I'm not mistaken, they go there still.